Alright, folks, sorry about that. I'm back now. That was weird. Um, Hold on 1 second, and I will be right with you. I'm sending a message real quick, because there we go. Alright, so anyways, as I was saying before, um, I've done this topic before, paranormal true crime. Um, a brief recap for those that haven't heard me before. Um, I talked about cases like the case of Zona Hester Shue. I know, 25-cent handle. But she was this lady in the 1800s. It was actually the first and only court case where testimony from a ghost was allowed in court. Um, and I'm not going to get into that whole thing. If you're interested in it, I can put links up or whatever. Um, I've talked about probably my favorite subject in this topic is Edward Wayne Edwards, who me and others actually believe, including John Cameron, who literally wrote the book, um, believe that he is the most prolific serial killer of all time. We believe he was the Zodiac. We believe also that he killed the Black Dahlia and several others that I'm not going to get into because I'm actually not talking about him tonight. I'm going to talk about some other famous cases that had paranormal subjects involved. However, um, some you might have heard of before, some you probably haven't. One of the ones I can guarantee that you've probably heard of before, and actually I'm going, give me 1 second, I'm going to actually bring up the information on this so I get everything right. I have a tendency to forget shit if I don't have it like right in front of me, so let's see. Okay, so let me bring up this information real quick before I say anything else because This is one of those really famous cases where, like, if I even say it, you'll immediately know what I'm talking about. Let's see. Okay. Okay, yeah. So, what I'm talking about is something that happened um, in Los Angeles on the night of August 8th, 1969. Dang it. I hate it when it does this, like, pop-up shit. Uh, Actually took place from August 9th to the 10th in 1969 at uh, 10050 Cielo Drive in Los Angeles. I'm talking, of course, about the Manson family murders of Sharon Tate and company. Uh, what some people didn't know at the time is that Sharon Tate was pregnant at the time. And what some of you may know is that that property on Cielo Drive in LA is now famous for being haunted. Uh, in fact, Ghost Adventures has been there. I think they might have been there twice, actually. But I mean, that whole area was like charged to begin with, and it could be that that's why they did it there. Um, I don't know. I'm a crazy mofo myself, but I ain't that crazy, so it's hard for me to get into that mindset. But that place is crazy active. I actually did get the opportunity to investigate there once, um, years and years ago, and so uh, this is before I had my team that I have now, Ghost Talk Paranormal. I was kind of solo at the time. I was doing the whole solo act, and I actually was invited to investigate there by the property owner at the time. Uh, this is before the current owner bought the house, so nobody lived in it. And you know, I actually kind of meditated on the whole thing like for days before I went. Because if you know me at all, if you've listened to the show before, You already know I don't focus on negative anything. I've had to deal with negative because I'm a practicing medicine man, and I've done house cleansings, a lot of them, and all that. But when I'm going out to investigate, that's not what I'm focusing on. I'm not looking for that. But this is the location because of what happened there. Um, I knew that was going to be there. I knew there was going to be negative something there. Dark, evil, negative something. And I kind of struggle with that because when I'm in the mindset to investigate, and that's all I'm looking to do, I don't really want to deal with the negative shit. Like, at all. I'm just looking to get proof. Others call it evidence. I call it proof. And the reason I call it proof is because evidence is something you present to other people. Like, look, see, I told you it happens, it exists. I have no interest in that because people are going to believe whatever they're going to believe, regardless of what I say or do, and that's fine. However, I do want to prove it to myself. I actually, I mean, I know it exists. I've seen them since I was a child. Um, so I know it's there, but I still want to prove it. You know, it's fun for me, I guess you could say. But it's not like a hobby type of fun. I'm very passionate about it. This is like my life's calling. Anyways, I digress. So, I meditated on it for like 3-4 days, something like that. And this is like more than 20 years ago now. So, um, and a part of that was because they for whatever reason, they didn't really want me to cleanse the home. They didn't want me to do anything like that. So, I had issues with that because it's really hard for me to go into a place that does have something dark and evil, and I'm not allowed to confront it. Like, because that's my first instinct. I'm gonna take you the fuck out. That's my attitude. Um, when it comes to that stuff, but yeah, I wasn't allowed to. So I went into the place, and it was not at all what I expected in a way, because the house that's there now is not the house that was there before. In fact, it's not even on exactly the same spot. Um, when I was there, the house had been demolished, so it was basically an empty plot of land, and it was just surrounded by a fence. But I did investigate it, and it's quiet up there, so I didn't have to worry about noise pollution too much, which is weird for LA. But the second I stepped foot on that property, it came to life. That's the only way I can describe it. It came to life. It was like I was a witness to everything. I was really happy when I left that place. I'll just say that. But from what I saw, it is very active. Well, okay, to be honest, that whole area is very active. Um, like it's up on this hill, right? And it's like the whole hill has that energy about it. Um, so yeah. Anyways, moving on. Another place that is tied into one of the most famous killers, um, at least in Ohio's history, that I haven't gotten to investigate it yet, but I've read a lot about it and a lot about what's taken place there in the paranormal realm. But Jeffrey Dahmer's house, which is in Bath, Ohio. Man, I want to go there. Like, I really do. I want to go there, but once again, I don't focus on the negative stuff, but I know there's going to be negative stuff there because you can't be a Jeffrey Dahmer kind of guy and not bring up negative entities. I don't see how it can happen. So there's going to be something dark there. Now we're going to get into some little known stuff. A little bit. So, um, it is a world famous place, and I've been there, oh, several times. But most people do not associate it with true crime. And the place I'm talking about is actually one of my favorites. It's one of my well, it was one of my go-to spots when I lived in San Diego, California. I'm talking about the Whaley House. Ah, my baby girl Sarah said hi. Hi, baby. How's the little ones?
Driving her nuts.
I'm sure. Anyways, yeah, the Whaley House is actually tied into true crime, paranormal events, because Thomas Whaley, who built the house in the 1800s, I believe it was 1876, prior to him building the house, on that very spot where the house is, there was a tree, and it was the hanging tree for the town. And most famously, um, this one gentleman that got hung there was a guy by the name of Yankee Jim, who was not a good guy by any shape or means, but where that tree was is almost dead center of where the house is, if that makes sense. So like stand dead center in the house, and that's where the tree was, basically. Well, it just so happens that dead center of the house is where the stairs are, up to the upper floors. And most people have reported a choking sensation, feeling like there's a rope around their neck right in the middle of those stairs. Now, what's funny, not funny, haha, but funny, interesting, to me anyways, is that the one time I had an experience like that where I felt something actually wasn't even in the house. It was in the yard. It's kind of got this yard that it's on the side, but then it wraps around to the back, and there's this lattice work arch that you walk through to get into the back portion of the yard. And I was actually under that when I felt it. But I can tell you for certain, Whaley House is one of the most haunted places I've ever been to. It is not number one, though. Number one is the place that we're going to here pretty soon, coming up in November. We're going back to our favorite place, the Cross-Eyed Moose. Which is good, because we kind of have some unfinished business there. Yes, with Walter. And to briefly explain who Walter is, there's a spirit that resides there down in the basement area, which isn't like your typical basement. It's like very nice looking. It's all been redone and stuff, I'm sure. There's a bar down there and then some little rooms and stuff. Aw, miss and love you too, kiddo.
Hey, Sarah, miss you guys.
Anyways, so Walter, it hangs out, there's like, they do a lot of wedding events there. Okay, I'm going to try and explain it this way. It's basically been turned into like a reception hall for wedding receptions and the like. And they have, down in the basement in this one hallway, or off of this one hallway, on one side you have a groom's dressing room, and on the other side is the bride's dressing room. And Walter hangs out in the groom's dressing room, and he is, I mean, there's nothing negative there, really, but, like, he would be, like, the closest thing to it. And he's not dark or evil or anything, he's just grumpy. So we took to taking him Walter after the Jeff Dunham puppet, Walter, because he's such a grunt. Anyways, yeah, we kind of didn't get to spend any time with Walter last time we were there, and he so did not like that. So, anyways, continuing on with the true crime stuff. Um, Another place, once again, it's in California, that I actually did get to investigate. Um, and it's not famous. You'll notice with me, a lot of the places I tend to go to investigate aren't all that famous. Some of them have become famous since then, but they weren't like famously haunted before, I guess you could say. Anyways, in a place called Sonoma, California, which is it's kind of in between Orange County and LA, for those that might be familiar with that. Um, there's it's not a house, it's not a building at all. What it is, it's a tree. It's just this old oak tree, just kind of out in the middle of this big open field. All right. And I know what you're thinking. Well, Jay, how does this relate to true crime? It's a tree. Well, allow me to explain. Back in the, I guess it was late 70s, early 80s, some very dark rituals happened in the vicinity of this tree. Okay. Now I know what you're thinking. Dark rituals doesn't necessarily mean true crime. I know, I agree, but I'm getting to that. Because, see, the individual who performed these dark rituals in the vicinity of this tree back in the late 70s, early 80s, probably up until he was caught, was an individual named Richard Ramirez, who the world probably knows better as the Night Stalker. Now, if you're unfamiliar with him or the things he did, he actually evaded the police for like, I think it was like 5 years, maybe more, until he finally got caught. And the only reason they caught this dude was because of his sneakers. They were prototypes, and they were prototype sneakers, and only so many of them were sold, and they tracked him down through the sale. That's how they caught him. Or rather, that's not how they caught him, that's how they identified him. How they caught him is okay, so this is what he would do. He would break into people's houses, usually by coming through windows, and he'd kill whole families. Right? Well, he did this over and over and over again. What finally got him caught is he'd broken into a cop's house. You dummy. That's what did him in, is he broke into a cop's house. and he was a self-professed worshiper of Satan. Okay, this guy was killing everything at this tree in like these dark rituals. They found all sorts of animal skeletons and stuff buried around this tree. Well, I've been to this tree, and I will say that it is not in itself negative. There is actually nothing negative there. But you can feel it that something negative was there. I think he summoned something. And I think that something is no longer there. But you can definitely feel like... Only way I can describe it is like the residual energy of that act. Okay, now I'm going to get into one I have talked about before on this show, and no, it's not Edwards. Although I do love to talk about Edwards because I believe it in my heart of hearts that everything we suspect of him, he did. And I'm not going to get into that whole thing, but I have talked about this guy before, and this ties into old Hollywood. See, if you were born after, like, I don't know, probably like 1979, you'll probably have no clue who I'm talking about. But through my childhood, probably until like the mid 1980s or so, they used to show reruns of one of my favorite television shows of pretty much all time. It was an old black and white TV show from the 1940s, 1950s. The Adventures of Superman. And in that show, there was this gentleman by the name of George Reeves. No, he was no relation to Christopher, who also coincidentally played Superman. But what a lot of people don't know, or they probably do now since they actually made a movie about it, he was murdered, and it's unsolved. I mean, we know in our heart of hearts who did it, but it's unsolved. And I could look up the address. I'm not going to, though, because, well, okay, maybe I will. Let me just pull this up real quick. June 16th, 1959, in Beverly Hills, California. Reeves died of a gunshot wound to the head in the upstairs bedroom of his home in Benedict Canyon on June 16th, 1969. It's shrouded in mystery to this day. he was seeing a married woman at the time. A woman by the name of Toni Minks, who was married to um, hold on, let me bring it up. Come on. There we go. Mm. Uh, Toni Manx was married to Tony Mannix, sorry, was the wife of MGM Vice President and fixer Eddie Mannix, with whom Reeves had been having an affair. So there's always been rumors that Eddie and Tony were the ones that actually killed him. Uh, you can see more about all this in the movie Hollywoodland, um, which is actually about his life and death. Um, but I still get a kick out of this even to this day. One of the paranormal claims years after he died that took place inside that house is a man and woman had got the house. They were living there. And some little things had been happening here or there, but what really did them in is they were in the bedroom bumping uglies, and all of a sudden he appeared in a Superman costume. And I just thought that was hilarious because here's this poor guy, you know, doing the dirty with his woman, and all of a sudden there's George Reeves in a Superman costume. I mean, how do you compete? Anyways, so, mm, dang. Okay, I got time for one more story, I think. Um, Before my time's up, because I got about 5 minutes left. So, I got to tell this story because God, now I just totally forgot the name of it. Damn it. on, give me 1 second, folks. I'm looking this up. St. Anne's is the name of it. It was actually on Ghost Adventures. My experience with it was years and years and years before when I was still a kid. It's probably about 13, 14 or so. And this place is in dang, I forget exactly where. It's like San Bernardino Mountains, I believe. Anyways, what I remember is my mom was heavily involved with church at that time, which I never really have been, but being I was her kid, I was kind of forced to. And one of the things we would do every summer is we would go to like this summer camp ran by the church, right? Well, it's right next to St. Anne's. And at the time, I think there's probably fences and stuff up now, but at the time there wasn't. You couldn't tell where like boundary lines of one place to the other were. So if you were anything like me and you like to go out and explore, especially when you're out in the woods, you don't necessarily know that you're drifting into this dark place. But I will tell you, I distinctly remember I crossed this little creek, and the second I did, I instantly felt like I gotta go. And with that, my pack, my tribe. Till next time, peace.